There are moments in film history that never fade. They linger like light caught on old film reels. The soft hum of a projector, the flicker of the screen, the faces that seem to glow from within. In that golden age, beauty wasn't sculpted by filters or fashion. It was real. It was felt. It lived in Jane Fonda's courage, Michelle Pfeiffer's magnetic stillness, and Halle Berry's fearless radiance. The very essence of the most beautiful actors of the 1970s to 1990s, who defined an era through grace, strength, and authenticity. These women didn't just act, they transformed cinema into something personal and timeless. They showed that beauty could be intelligent, emotional, and deeply human. Their laughter, their silence, their stories became part of our collective memory, shaping the heart of Hollywood for generations. Decades later, their legacy still shines, proof that real beauty never fades. It simply grows wiser, softer, and even more unforgettable with time. Jane Fonda. Jane Fonda, born on December 21, 1937 in New York City, comes from one of Hollywood's most respected acting families. The daughter of legendary actor Henry Fonda and socialite Frances Ford Seymour, she inherited both artistry and discipline. Fonda's natural beauty reflected authenticity rather than perfection, bright eyes, a confident posture, and a quiet grace that audiences connected with. Her performances in Clute, 1971, and Coming Home, 1978, earned her 2 Academy Awards and positioned her as one of the most talented actresses of her generation. Critics consistently praised her emotional honesty and range, describing her as an actress who brought intelligence and courage to every role. Beyond the screen, Fonda became a cultural force. Her Jane Fonda workout, 1982, inspired millions of women to embrace fitness and self-confidence, helping redefine health and beauty standards for an entire decade. At the same time, she used her fame to advocate for civil rights, gender equality, and environmental awareness. Now 87 years old in 2025, Fonda continues to appear in film and television and remains deeply engaged in climate and women's causes. Her graceful aging, openness about personal challenges, and unwavering commitment to purpose have only strengthened her legacy. Jane Fonda represents timeless natural beauty, remarkable artistic skill, cultural influence, and a life devoted to resilience and change, a true symbol of elegance with conscience. Goldie Hawn. Born on November 21, 1945, in Washington, D.C., Goldie Hawn became one of the most radiant faces of American cinema. Her natural beauty, sparkling blue eyes, effortless charm, and that signature laughter captured the carefree yet confident spirit of the late 1960s and 1970s. She never relied on perfection. Instead, she embodied authenticity, radiating joy and energy that made her one of Hollywood's most beloved stars. Hawn's breakthrough came with Cactus Flower, 1969, which earned her an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. From there, she transitioned into leading roles in Private Benjamin, 1980, and Overboard, 1987, proving that comedy could be both intelligent and empowering. Beyond film, Hawn influenced cultural trends in beauty and fashion. Her sun-kissed hair, glowing skin, and relaxed style reflected the California aesthetic that would define an era. Magazines celebrated her as the face of natural glamour, a woman whose laughter and kindness were as captivating as her looks. Now 79 years old, Hawn continues to inspire. Through the Goldie Hawn Foundation and its Mind Up program, she promotes mindfulness and mental wellness for children worldwide. She has aged gracefully, embracing life with humor, gratitude, and a genuine belief in optimism. Goldie Hawn's legacy is more than cinematic, it's spiritual. She reminds us that beauty shines brightest when it comes from joy, that laughter can be timeless, and that kindness will always be in style. Jaclyn Smith. In the golden age of American television, few faces embodied beauty and grace like Jaclyn Smith. Born on October 26, 1945, in Houston, Texas, she became the heart of Charlie's Angels, a show that redefined femininity for a generation. Among the glamorous trio, Smith stood out not through extravagance, but through natural elegance, soft eyes, serene poise, and a calm confidence that viewers around the world couldn't forget. Her beauty was never loud, it was luminous. Time magazine once described her as the angel with quiet power, and that essence defined her career. She portrayed Kelly Garrett not just as a detective, but as a symbol of refined intelligence, a woman who could be gentle yet strong, glamorous yet grounded. Off-screen, Smith became a cultural icon. Her polished fashion sense, glossy brown hair, and radiant complexion influenced 1970s beauty trends across America. Later, as one of the first actresses to launch her own fashion and home brand in 1985, she translated that aesthetic into something lasting, elegance accessible to every woman. Now 80 years old, Jaclyn Smith remains a vision of timeless beauty. She has aged gracefully, maintaining her classic features and warm presence without artificiality. Her openness about health, aging, and gratitude keeps her an inspiration to women who value authenticity over perfection. Jaclyn Smith reminds the world that true beauty isn't fleeting. It's the harmony of grace, kindness, and quiet confidence that never goes out of style. Susan Sarandon. Few actresses have blended sensuality, intelligence, and courage as effortlessly as Susan Sarandon. Born on October 4, 1946, in New York City, she became one of the defining faces of Hollywood's transformation from the 1970s through the 1990s. Her beauty was not about youth or perfection, it was about depth, fire, and authenticity. With her expressive brown eyes and a voice that carried conviction, Sarandon projected confidence that transcended any era's standards of glamour. Her early performances in films like The Rocky Horror Picture Show, 1975, and Atlantic City, 1980, revealed her versatility, but it was Thelma and Louise, 1991, a story of female friendship and rebellion that made her a symbol of strength and defiance. Sarandon's beauty has always intertwined with purpose. During the 1980s and 1990s, she challenged the entertainment industry's idea of what it meant to be a beautiful woman. She embraced her natural look, refused unnecessary alterations, and proved that charisma and character age better than any cosmetic touch. Her red hair and radiant confidence became iconic, representing women who lead with their beliefs, not their image. Now 79 years old, she has aged with grace, openly embracing her years while maintaining the same fiery spirit that defined her career. Susan Sarandon's legacy reminds us that beauty and courage are inseparable, and that when a woman speaks her truth, she becomes timeless. Glenn Close. There are actresses who captivate audiences with charm, and then there is Glenn Close, a woman whose presence alone commands silence. Born on March 19, 1947, in Greenwich, Connecticut, Close never needed to chase conventional beauty. Her allure came from a rare intensity, a magnetic confidence that made viewers look deeper. Her features, sharp, intelligent, and expressive, carry the same quiet authority that defines her craft. In Fatal Attraction, 1987, she turned passion into menace, forever changing the way audiences viewed desire and obsession. A year later, in Dangerous Liaisons, 1988, she embodied elegance and cruelty with chilling precision. Critics called her performances fearless, and her characters made her one of the most fascinating women in cinema. With 8 Academy Award nominations, Glenn Close became the symbol of artistry shaped by discipline, not luck. Off-screen, Close is deeply involved in mental health advocacy, using her platform to fight stigma through her organization Bring Change to Mind. Her beauty today, at 78 years old, is not one that fades, it evolves. Silver hair, unfiltered grace, and a gaze that still cuts straight to truth. Glenn Close represents a different kind of beauty, one born of intellect, honesty, and emotional courage. She is proof that a woman's allure need not shout. Sometimes it speaks in silence, in the lift of an eyebrow, or in the power of a glance that says everything words never could. Jennifer Aniston. When Jennifer Aniston appeared on television screens in 1994 as Rachel Green in Friends, she didn't just play a role, she redefined what beautiful meant for a new generation. Born on February 11, 1969, in Sherman Oaks, California, Aniston brought something that Hollywood often forgets: warmth. Her appeal was not sculpted or distant. It was human, familiar, and instantly magnetic. Her golden hair and California glow became cultural touchstones of the 1990s. The Rachel haircut sparked a global craze, copied by millions who wanted to capture even a fraction of her effortless charm. Her mix of humor and vulnerability turned sitcom moments into lasting memories and earned her both Emmy and Golden Globe recognition. In a world obsessed with youth, she speaks openly about aging, solitude, and resilience. At 56 years old, she remains as luminous as ever, not because she resists time, but because she wears it lightly. Her beauty has evolved from girl-next-door brightness to the quiet strength of a woman who knows herself. Jennifer Aniston doesn't chase trends, she outlasts them. Her beauty isn't about perfection, it's about being real, radiant, and entirely at peace with who she is. She didn't just make the world laugh, she made it believe that beauty, at its best, feels effortless. Meryl Streep. Among all the actresses who shaped modern cinema, Meryl Streep stands as a singular force, an artist whose beauty comes not from glamour, but from truth. Born on June 22, 1949, in Summit, New Jersey, Streep carries a kind of elegance that is quiet, thoughtful, and enduring. Her expressive eyes and dignified presence have made her the embodiment of timeless grace, while her craft has redefined what it means to be a woman of power in film. Her performances in Kramer vs. Kramer, 1979, and Sophie's Choice, 1982, earned her 2 Academy Awards, marking the beginning of an extraordinary career that now includes a record 21 Oscar nominations. Streep has proven that beauty in acting is not surface level. It's the courage to feel completely, to let humanity show through. Culturally, she has influenced generations of women by showing that artistry and age can coexist beautifully. Through the 1980s and 1990s, her intelligence, poise, and understated fashion became synonymous with authenticity. She never conformed to Hollywood's youth obsession. Instead, she became its antidote, aging gracefully, with warmth and confidence. Now 76 years old, Meryl Streep continues to work in major films and advocate for equality and environmental awareness. Her beauty has evolved into wisdom, an inner light that commands respect, not attention. She reminds us that true beauty isn't what time takes away, but what time reveals: integrity, empathy, and the quiet strength to remain real in a world built on illusion. Sigourney Weaver. In an era when female characters were often written as fragile or secondary, Sigourney Weaver emerged as a revelation. Born on October 8, 1949, in New York City, she shattered Hollywood's expectations by embodying strength, intellect, and elegance, all at once. Her beauty was never about delicacy, it was about command. With her statuesque frame, intelligent eyes, and calm authority, Weaver became a symbol of a new kind of femininity, fearless yet deeply human. Her breakthrough as Ellen Ripley in Alien, 1979, changed film history. For the first time, a woman stood at the center of a science fiction thriller, not as a victim, but as a survivor. Weaver later brought the same intensity to Ghostbusters, 1984, Gorillas in the Mist, 1988, and Working Girl, 1988, proving that beauty and authority could coexist naturally on screen. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, her presence influenced not only film, but culture itself. She helped expand the image of women in Hollywood and inspired a generation of actresses to lead, not follow. Her tall, athletic grace and understated glamour became synonymous with confidence rather than conformity. Now 76 years old, Sigourney Weaver continues to take on ambitious roles, including her acclaimed return in Avatar: The Way of Water, 2022. Sigourney Weaver's legacy isn't just cinematic, it's cultural. She taught Hollywood that a woman's strength can be beautiful, that intelligence can be magnetic, and that courage will always outshine convention. Catherine Zeta-Jones. Born on September 25, 1969, in Swansea, Wales, she carries the kind of elegance that feels both cinematic and human. Her deep brown eyes, luminous skin, and regal composure evoke the sophistication of old Hollywood, while her confidence embodies the modern woman who owns her power completely. Zeta-Jones began her career on the British stage before stepping onto the global scene with The Mask of Zorro, 1998. In that film, her swordsmanship, charm, and natural sensuality turned her into an instant star. She brought intelligence to beauty, a fiery presence that could be both seductive and sincere. Just a few years later, she won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for her role as Velma Kelly in Chicago, 2002, dazzling audiences with precision, charisma, and musical prowess. But what makes Catherine Zeta-Jones exceptional is not only her past, it's her ability to evolve. After decades in the spotlight, she returned to mainstream prominence with Netflix's Wednesday, 2022, portraying Morticia Addams, the matriarch of Gothic grace. Even in her mid-50s, her presence was magnetic, her elegance untouched by time. The long, raven hair, sculpted cheekbones, and calm authority that once defined her Zorro days now radiate an even deeper confidence. At 56 years old, she continues to act, design, and inspire, often sharing glimpses of her life filled with gratitude and self-assurance. In every phase of her life, Catherine Zeta-Jones has embodied the union of grace and strength. She is the woman who reminds the world that real beauty isn't about resisting time. It's about growing luminous within it. Jennifer Connelly. When Jennifer Connelly first appeared on screen in the mid-1980s, it wasn't her youth that set her apart. It was her stillness. There was something hypnotic in the way she looked at the camera, a calm intensity that made audiences pause. Born in upstate New York and raised between the bustle of Brooklyn and the quiet of the Catskills, Connelly grew up surrounded by contrasts, and she learned early how to balance them. That balance would become her signature, as both an actress and a woman. At just 14, she enchanted audiences in Jim Henson's Labyrinth, 1986, her wide, thoughtful eyes grounding the fantasy in something human. With Requiem for a Dream, 2000, she tore away any illusions of fragility, revealing raw vulnerability and unflinching control. Her face carries both strength and serenity, making her as compelling in a couture campaign as she is in a close-up. Fashion houses like Balenciaga and Louis Vuitton have chosen her not for spectacle, but for her timeless composure. Now in her mid-50s, Connelly continues to evolve. Her role in Top Gun: Maverick, 2022, reintroduced her to a global audience, while recent performances in Dark Matter, 2024, prove her craft is still deepening. Jennifer Connelly remains an enigma, radiant yet reserved, powerful yet understated. In a world of noise, she has built her legacy through quiet brilliance. Lynda Carter. Long before superheroes dominated the silver screen, there was Lynda Carter standing tall, poised, and radiant in red, blue, and gold. To an entire generation, she wasn't just Wonder Woman, she was wonder itself. Born in Phoenix, Arizona, Carter began as a singer and beauty queen, crowned Miss World USA 1972, before becoming one of television's most iconic figures of the 1970s. When Wonder Woman premiered in 1975, Carter brought something new to pop culture. She reimagined the superhero archetype not as fierce or cold, but as compassionate and wise. Her calm strength and luminous presence gave audiences, especially young women, a different vision of power, one that came from empathy rather than dominance. The show ran until 1979, but its cultural impact never faded. Even today, fans remember her not for superhuman perfection, but for the kindness behind her eyes. Off-screen, Carter built a career defined by resilience and reinvention. She returned to her musical roots, performing in jazz and cabaret, and later took roles in television and film that showcased her wit and depth. Through the years, she has become an advocate for women's rights and mental health awareness, speaking openly about loss and recovery. Now in 74, Lynda Carter remains a symbol of timeless beauty and empowerment. Her elegant bearing, natural confidence, and unfiltered authenticity remind the world that true heroes do not fade. They evolve. Lynda Carter's legacy is more than nostalgic. It's living proof that real power, like real beauty, begins within. She didn't just portray Wonder Woman, she defined what it means to be one. Kathleen Turner. Few actresses embodied the raw magnetism of 1980s Hollywood like Kathleen Turner. Her arrival was not quiet, it was a force. With her smoky voice, statuesque presence, and fearless confidence, Turner redefined what it meant to be both beautiful and powerful on screen. That worldly confidence burst onto the screen in her breakout role as the dangerously alluring Maddie Walker in Body Heat, 1981. Her success continued with Romancing the Stone, 1984, and Prizzi's Honor, 1985, films that showcased not just her beauty, but her wit, comic timing, and remarkable emotional range. Fashion and film magazines called her that Hollywood's thinking man's siren, a woman whose allure came from intellect as much as appearance. But Turner's story is also one of resilience. In the 1990s, she was diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis, a condition that caused chronic pain and temporarily altered her appearance. Now in 71, Turner continues to act and teach, her voice still carrying that same husky authority that once silenced theaters. Her beauty, once fiery and immediate, has matured into something deeper, grace anchored by experience. Angelina Jolie. There are stars, and then there are forces of nature, and Angelina Jolie has always been the latter. From her earliest roles in the 1990s to her current global influence, Jolie's name has become synonymous with intensity, grace, and a kind of beauty that feels both untamed and purposeful. She was never just admired for how she looked, she was revered for what she represented. Born in Los Angeles to actor Jon Voight and actress Marceline Bertrand, Jolie grew up surrounded by Hollywood's glow, yet walked a darker, more introspective path. Her breakout performance in Gia, 1998, revealed not only her astonishing beauty, but also a fierce, emotional honesty that few actresses dared to show. Through the 2000s, Jolie became both a cinematic and cultural phenomenon. Films like Lara Croft, Tomb Raider, 2001, and Mr. and Mrs. Smith, 2005, made her an international symbol of strength and sensuality. Her full lips, piercing eyes, and commanding presence defined a new archetype of feminine power, one that merged vulnerability with danger. Beyond acting, she transformed into a humanitarian force. As a UNHCR Goodwill Ambassador and later Special Envoy, she has spent over 2 decades advocating for refugees, women's rights, and education around the world. Now 50 years old, Jolie continues to balance artistry and advocacy. Her recent roles, from Maleficent to directing socially conscious films, show a woman at peace with her duality, beauty and strength, empathy and fire. Angelina Jolie's legacy isn't just cinematic, It's transformational. She redefined what it means to be beautiful, not as perfection, but as power born of compassion and truth. Demi Moore. When Demi Moore appeared on screen in the 1980s, she didn't just play characters, she embodied transformation. She was raw yet composed, sensual yet grounded. Moore became one of the defining faces of a generation that saw women in film rise from supporting roles to commanding leads. Her early fame came through the Brat Pack films of the mid-1980s, but it was Ghost, 1990, that changed everything. Starring opposite Patrick Swayze, Moore's performance of love, grief, and strength in the face of loss turned the film into a cultural touchstone and made her an international star. The now iconic pottery scene became one of the most romantic moments in film history, and her expressive vulnerability became her signature. She became the highest-paid actress in Hollywood, earning both admiration and criticism for taking bold physical roles in Indecent Proposal, 1993, and G.I. Jane, 1997. Her shaved head in G.I. Jane became a symbol of defiance and resilience, challenging outdated ideas of femininity and power. Now, 62 years old, recently stunning at the 2024 Cannes Film Festival with the same composure and luminous grace that once defined her screen presence. Her beauty has evolved, not in defiance of time, but in harmony with it. Demi Moore remains one of Hollywood's most fearless icons, a woman whose career proved that true beauty lies not in perfection, but in courage. Geena Davis. Among the most beautiful actresses of the late 20th century, Geena Davis occupies a unique space. Standing tall at 6 feet with sculpted features and a gaze both kind and commanding, Davis redefined what beauty meant in Hollywood. Not fragility, but confidence. Not perfection, but purpose. When she appeared in The Fly, 1986, and later won the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress for The Accidental Tourist, 1988, Davis became a symbol of sophistication and intellect wrapped in undeniable allure. Then came Thelma and Louise, 1991, a turning point not only in her career, but in cinematic history. As Thelma, Davis embodied a beauty forged through rebellion, a woman's awakening rendered in sunlight, dust, and defiance. The image of her in the driver's seat beside Susan Sarandon became an icon of empowerment, one that still defines feminist film decades later. Now, 69 years old, Davis's radiance hasn't dimmed. It has evolved. Geena Davis remains one of Hollywood's most beautiful women, not only because of how she looked on screen, but because of how she made people feel, seen, inspired, and strong. Charlize Theron. Born on August 7, 1975, in Benoni, South Africa, she grew from a ballet-trained teenager to one of Hollywood's most commanding presences, a woman whose elegance conceals an iron will. When she arrived in Hollywood in the mid-1990s, Theron's statuesque figure, golden hair, and piercing gaze made her an instant standout. Her breakout roles in The Devil's Advocate, 1997, The Cider House Rules, 1999, and The Italian Job, 2003, showed not just allure, but emotional intelligence. With Monster, she shocked the world, gaining weight, altering her face, and completely disappearing into the role of serial killer Aileen Wuornos. Beyond the screen, Theron's impact reaches into activism. Through the Charlize Theron Africa Outreach Project, she advocates for HIV prevention and youth empowerment across Southern Africa. Now 50 years old, Theron's radiance has not faded, it has deepened. The same sharp jawline and commanding eyes that once defined her modeling career now speak of resilience and conviction. She embraces aging without apology, showing that beauty, like power, is not about preserving youth, but about owning truth. Meg Ryan. In the romantic landscape of late 20th century cinema, few faces shone brighter than Meg Ryan's. Her smile, bright and spontaneous, could light up an entire frame. Her voice, warm and full of feeling, turned ordinary dialogue into something personal. Ryan didn't just play love stories, she defined them. Born on November 19, 1961, in Fairfield, Connecticut, she studied journalism before turning to acting, a decision that changed both her life and the tone of Hollywood romance. Her early appearances in Top Gun, 1986, and Inner Space, 1987, showcased her natural charm, but it was When Harry Met Sally, 1989, that made her a cultural phenomenon. Her soft curls, expressive blue eyes, and effortless energy created a new romantic ideal, the approachable dream. In the 2000s, she stepped back from the spotlight, facing tabloid scrutiny and the shifting tides of fame. Instead of fading, she evolved, turning to directing, producing, and writing. Her 2023 romantic comedy, What Happens Later, marked a thoughtful return, reminding audiences that her glow had never dimmed, it had simply deepened. Now 64 years old, Meg Ryan embodies a beauty that transcends youth. Her face tells a story, a life lived, lessons learned, and joy reclaimed. She remains the symbol of sincerity in an industry often defined by illusion. Halle Berry. Born on August 14, 1966 in Cleveland, Ohio, Berry began her career as a model and beauty pageant contestant, finishing as the first runner-up in Miss USA 1986 and placing in the top 6 at Miss World 1986. When she entered Hollywood, she was determined to do more than look beautiful. She wanted to be seen. Her early performances in Jungle Fever, 1991, Boomerang, 1992, and Losing Isaiah, 1995, revealed both vulnerability and fire, a rare duality that made her unforgettable. In 2002, Berry made history. Her portrayal of Letitia Musgrove in Monsters Ball earned her the Academy Award for Best Actress, making her the first and still only Black woman to win in that category. Beyond acting, Berry has become a passionate advocate for domestic violence awareness, diabetes education, and diversity in Hollywood. Now 59 years old, Halle Berry radiates the same poise that once captivated the world, but with a wisdom that makes her beauty timeless. Halle Berry remains a woman who turned beauty into impact and representation into power. Michelle Pfeiffer. From the moment she appeared on screen, she embodied the kind of beauty that doesn't just attract attention, it holds it. Her features were luminous, her voice soft yet commanding, and her gaze carried a quiet depth that turned even silence into a performance. Pfeiffer was never just beautiful, she was hypnotic. Born on April 29, 1958, in Santa Ana, California, she began her career with modest television roles before capturing the world's imagination in Scarface, 1983. As Elvira Hancock, she redefined the archetype of the gangster's woman, cool, distant, and emotionally layered. Through The Witches of Eastwick, 1987, Dangerous Liaisons, 1988, and The Fabulous Baker Boys, 1989, she became the face of sophistication. Her beauty in the late 1980s and 1990s was often described as timeless, yet it was her ability to elevate that beauty through intelligence, restraint, and emotional honesty that made her unforgettable. Now 67 years old, Pfeiffer's allure endures not through preservation, but presence. Her natural aging, graceful and unapologetic, has made her a symbol of authenticity in an industry obsessed with youth. Winona Ryder. Winona Ryder, a woman whose beauty has always seemed suspended between worlds, tender yet defiant, timeless yet unmistakably modern. With her wide, melancholic eyes and quiet intensity, Ryder became the face of youthful rebellion and introspection for an entire generation. Born on October 29, 1971, in Winona, Minnesota, she was named after her hometown. Ryder's early breakout in Beetlejuice, 1988, directed by Tim Burton, introduced audiences to her singular magnetism, a dark-haired girl who was strange, soulful, and unforgettable. But it was Heathers, 1989, Edward Scissorhands, 1990, and Reality Bites, 1994, that crowned her as the queen of Generation X. Her beauty was unlike the sunlit glamour of her peers. Instead, it was cinematic and haunting. The poetry of pale skin and dark eyes, as Vogue once described it. Now 54 years old, Winona Ryder stands as a testament to beauty that outlasts fashion or fame. Winona Ryder remains not just one of the most beautiful actresses of her time, but one of the most real, the rebel heart that taught Hollywood that vulnerability is its own kind of strength. They weren't just stars of their time, they were the women who gave beauty its meaning. From Jane Fonda's fearless grace to Michelle Pfeiffer's magnetic poise and Halle Berry's radiant strength, they embodied the soul of an era shaped by elegance, courage, and authenticity. Their presence defined the most beautiful actors from the 1970s to the 1990s, a generation whose glow came not from perfection, but from purpose and truth. Decades later, their legacy still shimmers, proof that beauty isn't bound by youth or fashion, but by spirit. These women didn't fade into memory, they rose into legend, carrying with them the light of every role, every risk, every triumph. If their stories still move you, don't forget to like, share, and comment on your favorite icon and turn on notifications to keep celebrating the timeless women who made Hollywood unforgettable.